join us tonight. We really appreciate that. Rooted in Gorgeous Sacredness and Greg Moyes are back. And I think I'm caught up. Oh, there's Ozzy, Sister. And Jason for Jesus, welcome back to the show. Right. Yeah, I think I'm caught up. Unless somebody news crawled in like the Philip Blair has. The Philip Blair. There he is, everyone. All right. So just as a reminder, if you're new here, we do take commercial breaks every 30 minutes. This is not a podcast. This is a live radio show. And a good way to support this show is by hitting the subscribe button, giving us a thumbs up, ring that bell so you know when we're coming on the show. The super chat is open, just like Chad Smith there. Thank you so much, Chad. Really do appreciate that, man. And we're going to get going here in about 15 seconds, and let's have a good one. Lauren Pritchard is with us. There she is. And look, she got great teeth, by the way. Great teeth. And she'll show them. Here we go. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show from our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. All right, we got a good one for you tonight as we are joined by Lauren Alexis Pritchard. She had an ambush awakening back in October of 2016. She became an instant medium to spirit guides who initiated her into a process of understanding that she is here to assist the shift into consciousness. Her topics include debt forgiveness through primordial Mother Earth, AI regulation, and the duality unification war. Lauren is a coach and AI regulation specialist. She helps people increase their bioavailability and solar photonics through love, peace, light, and I bet you this girl even throws in a little bit of chi for dessert. Lauren, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. How are you?
Hey, Dave. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. This is like so much fun already.
It is. Yeah. We got a lot of cool people here. A lot of cool people.
Yeah. Thank you. In the chat.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to join us. And Lauren, I love it when people come out and say that, they got blasted into this. What was your life previous to 2016 before all of a sudden you decided to start downloading a bunch of woo stuff that made you really change your entire focus?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the cosmic joke. My life was headed in one direction and then took like a 360. So I was a hairstylist by trade, went to school for business, a little bit of biology for fun. And I was actually on my way. Like I was saving money and I was making business plans to work towards and, very soon after, hopefully eventually get my own salon in Austin, Texas. So I was on this like straight and narrow, like business owner track. And it was right before I was about to go to the bank to get the money. That's when it all happened and my life completely changed and just took a 180.
Okay, take us back to that moment when that happened in 2016.
Oh, okay. So let's see here. Oh, gosh, a while ago now. Take us back to that. So I was actually in a movie theater. I was seeing the movie American Honey with Shia LaBeouf. Great movie. I love that movie. those kids some of them were actually homeless kids that were hired to act in that movie. So highly recommend. But I was in this movie, and I had just come from. Am I speaking too loud?
No, you're doing beautifully.
Okay, I feel like I'm shouting. I have a tendency to project.
That's okay. It's radio. You're allowed to inflect and project.
Okay, as long as I'm not yelling. So I just come from one of my, karmic partner, one of my loved ones, and we were discussing his best friend who had passed away when they were 22. We were about 30 at the time. He's about 30. And, when they were 22, him and his best friend was shot and killed. And it was this tragic event. And we were talking about him. His name is Peter. So we were talking about Peter, and we were talking about, the political arena with, so much has happened since then. But for a moment there, the media had everyone focusing on the Muslims. And, he was talking about how Peter was Italian, but a lot of people thought he was Muslim. And people thought he was Catholic because they went to a Catholic school, but he was actually Christian. And so we were just kind of laughing about that. And so after our visit that night, I went to see American Honey in theaters by myself. I go to my movies by myself all the time. And there's a part in the movie where these kids are selling magazines door to door to make money. And they go to this household with, this like Stepford wife mom and this like cookie cutter perfect house. And, these kids that are selling these magazines, they're looking at this life that they don't have. They don't know what this is like. And they see that the kid is really like, she's bad behavior. She's kind of a brat. It's her birthday, and she's like in the backyard, like she's like 13, like dancing all sexy. And one of them drops a swear word, and the woman yells at her, and she's like, "Not in my Christian household." And it was in that moment, as like it connected my mind to Peter, to the spirit of this person that we were just talking about. And then bam, it was like, oh, and by the way, in the movie, it's so good. The girl goes, "It looks like the devil has a hold of your daughter," which, speaking of good and evil, like the dualism of like Christianity and like how some people think that they can just name drop and they can just act a certain way, when in reality it's like, look at what goes on in your own home. So good movie. Anyways, I was in a theater. I started hyperventilating. Like I was hit with something. It was almost like something like came into the top of my head, and I was just like hit with it. And I just started hyperventilating, and I started crying, but without emotion. I was just sort of having this physical reaction, and I could not calm myself down. I was embarrassed. I didn't want anyone to know that I was having some weird episode. And this had never happened to me before, by the way. So I had to leave the theater, and I had to like drive myself home and like get myself in bed and just like lay down. And I was having just this amazing supernatural phenomenon where this spirit was speaking through me to me telepathically. And from then on out, at least for the beginning stages of my awakening, it was just like me and Peter hanging out, like telepathically. And then it developed from there. It's been a whole process.
Very cool. Very cool. So when you had that emotional breakdown, were you kind of shown what life was supposed to be? Was it almost soul cleansing for you?
Well, I wouldn't call it wasn't an emotional breakdown. It was like I was experiencing his death. Like I was experiencing what it was like. He let me feel his death. Like he let me feel the fear, the moment leading up to it. I don't think he died right away. And I don't have clarification on all this because actually the person that, this person is connected to has not been able to speak about this. And this was a long time ago. So But you know how the devil likes to divide people who, you know, have a lot in common. But anyways, I was experiencing his whole death. Like I knew exactly how he died, knew the weather. I knew, then I was brought through the emotions of his loved ones. I felt, you know, my friends sensing it. I felt what his mom went through. I felt what his siblings went through. It was just kind of experiencing his whole thing. And so it didn't have actually much of anything to do with me other than the fact that there really was and is a soul connection between his, this is a mutual friend of somebody that, you know, we really do have, you know, this karmic connection, the soul connection, and which is developed and grown also. And so, yeah, I mean, it was more so just kind of like this initiation point where they're like, you know, I just started out just with me and Peter, and then it was orbs and supernatural phenomena in my apartment, and just endless journey and development to get to, you know, where I'm at now, you know, stomping my boots on the ground as this foot soldier down here for, you know, the Army of Michael.
So for you, when that situation happened, it automatically transformed you into something that you had never experienced. How did you know which direction to go?
Yeah, it was definitely like nothing I had ever experienced. I was a little bit into astrology, and that was pretty much the extent of my spirituality. I knew what all my friends' zodiac signs were. I wasn't raised religious or spiritual. Yeah, my mom had an issue with the Catholic Church, so she didn't give us a lick of religion growing up. It was all organic, and so I didn't actually know anything about the Bible, Jesus. I mean, when I was little, I liked Jesus. I popped out the womb talking about Jesus, but then you sort of forget as a teenager, you know, having not been taught about him. But as an adult, yeah, I just sort of thought this was a mystical story that was kind of up for speculation. And I thought that God was something that people came up with because life is so sad that they had to come up with this fictional thing to like make it not so sad when sad things happen. So I guess the weirdest thing was you hear song lyrics differently and you see things in movies, and it made me think that I was actually last to find out about all this stuff, because if I'm listening to like Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks, Prince, I'm like, oh, everyone already knows this, and I'm just last to find out. I mean, it's really what I thought. So I started talking about it with people, and I experienced so much rejection. I was like, I can't tell anybody about this until I learn the science behind it. So I started digging into the science of spirituality and started researching how all this is even scientifically possible. And then I started working with a shaman, so I was able to open up a little bit more. And yeah, go from there.
Okay, but for a lot of people, like I know when I opened up, I had my own guru named Pascal, who was literally, you know, he came over to, and I remember him saying to me, "How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go?" And I just said, "Well, let's just go the whole way. I mean, what the hell? We're here already, right?" So for you having to find this on your own, how difficult was that?
Not difficult at all. But I will say, you know, speaking of like how far down the rabbit hole you want to go, you might have noticed it's extremely physical too. So it's like the more you go down the rabbit hole, your body has to physically adjust. So it wasn't difficult, but the difficult part was navigating like regular life and health and this thing. So yeah, I mean that was. It was comfortable in that I quickly learned I am kind of a warlike spirit, so I love like demonic attacks. Like I love it. I'm like, oh my God, bring it on! Like I began to really enjoy the spiritual warfare. You know, after you get over all the fear and all that stuff, trial and error. Well, no error, but a lot of trials. But yeah, I mean, it was just difficult to navigate, like, being in regular matrix life and having this home life that's like this double life, and you can't tell anyone about it. And just the physicality. I mean, sometimes if you go down the rabbit hole, but then you gotta go to work the next day. Well, if you go too far down that rabbit hole, like, you might need to sleep for a day. I mean, this stuff makes you exhausted, makes you really tired, really hungry too sometimes. I don't know if you notice, you get really hungry, you get night sweats, you might get sick. I mean, it's crazy.
What was the first reaction to when the spiritual side started opening up to you? Did you think you were losing it? Did you think, because I know I did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, because, you know, what's funny is I battled depression my whole life. I had an eating disorder, my teenage life, my early 20s. And so, you know, I grew up in upstate New York. I'm from Albany, Adirondack region. And it's really depressing up there sometimes, especially in the winters. And I was battling this thing and a lot of illness. You know, they have mono, Epstein-Barr, you know, I was thinking I have arthritis, you know, all kinds of stuff. And I was like, this is just like no way to live. So I was guided to, you know, synchronistic move to Texas. And I had settled into Texas really well. And I was the healthiest I'd ever been. I mean, mentally, physically, yeah, all that stuff. So it was funny because I was like, okay, I have been so depressed in the past where I have literally hallucinated. I had a dark awakening before I had this awakening. So when this happened, I was feeling like, oh, this has never happened before. But I forget, I had a dark awakening in 2013. And do you want to hear the story about that?
I do. I want to hear all the stories.
I'm like, you know, you're like, go into detail. And I was like, okay, here we go. So I'd visited Texas. My like childhood sweetheart moved to Texas. And so we started dating on the premise that we were going to move to Texas together. So we had visited, his folks were in Houston. We visited Austin, visited San Antonio. And when we were in San Antonio, I booked the Crockett Hotel, just like $80 a night, you know, deal on Expedia or whatever. Not promoting, you know, any of these things, but you know what I mean. Just one of those deal websites. I don't even remember. Who cares? Anyways, that hotel is haunted. And like recently someone had died in there, and I got a weird vibe, even though like, I guess I was, you know, kind of sensitive to stuff, but I never really saw anything. Growing up, my brother was always spooked. Like my brother saw the shadow man all the time. Like we thought he was like a little cray-cray. We were kind of mean to him about it. And then it's almost like he stopped experiencing stuff and then I started experiencing stuff because I was spooked in this hotel. I just felt like a weird vibe. Like I didn't want my partner at the time. I didn't want him to shower with the door shut for some reason. Like I was scared of this place. And which is silly because I was an adult, you know, 23 years old, but still I was like, can you shower with the door open? I'm like freaked out by this place for some reason, for no real reason, by the way it looked or anything like that. And that night we like lay down to go to sleep, and I'm in that stage in between laying down and being completely asleep. So I think I'm awake still. And this woman walks up to me next to the bed, and she's wearing like a maid's uniform, and she sits down right next to me, like hip to hip, like sits down, like hip pressed on my hip. And she goes to like lean forward to like caress my forehead, like almost like push my hair back off my forehead. And it was the pressure of her hip on my hip. And I start to feel myself like, you know, go sink down in the bed. And that's what made me, I shot up and I was like, holy crap, this place is haunted. I just saw a ghost. She just came in. She sat right next to me. And that night there was a huge pink orb in the corner of the room, just sat there blaring at me all night long, which was frustrating for me because I was spooked by this hotel, spooked by the spirit, who ended up, it's a very nice spirit, but anything paranormal, when you haven't experienced it before, is going to put you into fear. It's going to freak you out. So I was freaked out, and it was worse because I couldn't sleep. I was sitting up. I was watching Garden State. It was on TV. I was watching Garden State, just like trying not to focus on the gigantic pink orb in the corner of the room. It's like, I'm already freaked out. I'm trying to forget about it. I'm not going to sleep. So I'm trying to escape into the AI. I'm trying to escape into the TV. There's a huge orb just blaring at me from the corner of the room. So
what did it look like? What did it look like? What color?
It was like a very comforting pink, like a soft pink, which is the color of comfort, I guess. I looked it up. I learned later on to look up these things. So it was probably, there to comfort. I feel so grateful for that. So I went back to New York, and I tried, I just went back to normal life. I didn't think anything of it. And I get to my apartment, I'm like back from my trip, going to work, coming home. And I just felt this presence in my apartment. Like and it wasn't just this looming presence. It was like, there's someone here and they are right there in the hallway. Like they're standing right there in the hallway. There's nothing there, but I can feel a presence of a thing that is right there. And then I had 2 cats at the time, Wee Man and Stoli. And I'll look over and the 2 cats would be staring right at where I'm like, no, something is right there. And it totally freaked me out. It was super uncomfortable because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was going on. I just came from this haunted hotel. Now I'm thinking my apartment's haunted, and that was frustrating. I ended up going to my parents. They lived half hour down the road. I ended up staying with them because my apartment was haunted. I had a pagan friend. She came over and she tried to do a little something to like work it out. And it just really didn't do anything. So I ended up going to my folks, stayed with them for a little bit. And the thing was there. It was at this point, it was closer to me. I mean, it would stand at the corner of my bed, this presence of something was just like right up in my face. And I did think I was kind of maybe losing it because I had no experience with this stuff. So, and it put me into a depression, actually. Like I was really depressed. I was so depressed, and I'm having all this supernatural phenomenon. I learned, okay, it's obviously not the apartment that's haunted or my parent, like I'm haunted. And I was kind of energetically drained from it, that I didn't do much about it for what I don't know why, I was like hallucinating. I mean, I was sitting in the living room with my mom, and she's sitting there doing her makeup. And I'm like, Mom, do you not see this? Like, there's a huge portal looking thing in the corner of the room. Do you not see that? It's right there. She's like, no. She's like, you're hallucinating. And so she was looking into it. She's like, you could be bipolar, because bipolar is, hallucinations are a symptom of bipolar. And when you get so depressed, I guess you get what they call manic depressed. And I guess you get what they call bipolar if you hallucinate. So at this point, I'm kind of desperate for answers. So I'm like, maybe I'm bipolar.
Well, on that note, let's figure out whether you are or not when we come back from the break here on Spaced Out Radio. Our guest tonight is Lauren Pritchard, and we're going to be talking spiritual warfare, spirituality, consciousness. I'm sure there's some aliens in there somewhere. We'll try and pry them out. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio right after this. All right, we're clear. Fun times, man. Fun times. You having fun, Lauren?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Yes. I think this is a blast so far.
Oh, good.
This
Yeah,
is a blast so far.
it's fun to like revisit this time in my life because I haven't been there in a while.
Me either.
So much has happened since.
Me either.
But I do want to talk about aliens and monsters and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. That's right up Dave's alley. Right up.
Yeah.
I'll third person myself on that one. That is right up Dave's alley.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. All good.
How long do we have here?
We got about 4.5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
4.5.
Cool. And it's every half hour?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Big thank you. Bigfoot Michigan Rob, you take way too good care of me, man. Thank you for that amazing super chat. Wow. Always catch me off guard, man. Thank you. I appreciate you. And a big thank you to Kyle and to Chad for the super chats already. Hello to people joining us late, like the Fapsterino, Yola Tango, Ozzy, Mr. Oi Oi himself. And, yeah, I'm good for right now. My nose is so stuffy right now. I don't know why. I don't have allergies. What?
Eat something spicy. Do it on.
Then I gotta go. Then I gotta go upstairs. You know what I did for my birthday show a couple of years ago? I did the Pocky one chip challenge on camera, and that hurt. That hurt bad. That's one chip. It comes in a coffin shaped box, and yeah, that one hurt. It was like 1.9 million Scoville units. Pure death.
Oh.
Yeah, it hurt.
It's not fun.
No, was not fun at all. Not gonna lie, it hurt.
What if there's like people that love doing that? It's like they got a desire for what's it called? Punishment. You know, people that like to get hurt.
Yeah, I love my hot sauce. I've got about 15 bottles on the go right now. Everything from very mild to absolutely I hate you. Right? Right. My dad got me this stuff from his town, from a Vietnamese restaurant. And I knew I was in trouble when my dad started laughing. He walks into this Vietnamese restaurant. My dad's like, "Can I get hot sauce here?" The guy's like, "Yeah." He goes, "What do you got for hot?" He goes, "How hot?" He goes, "Hottest you got." He hands my dad this bottle. It's about this big. I've still only gone through maybe this much of it, but the bottle is like this big. And
wow.
and the guy goes, "Here, this'll fix him." And I'm like, really? Oh, it's brutal hot. It is so good though, so good.
So the kind you take a little toothpick and you put it in.
Oh yeah. I do a little bit more than just a toothpick. Like for instance, I put a little too much on a couple weeks ago, and stupid Dave.
The thing I like about hot sauce is some of them really do like air out your pores. Like you feel like you're like in a sauna outside.
Oh, yeah. You know what here's what most people miss about hot sauce. What makes you sweat and what makes it burn is a chemical called capsicum that's built into the pepper. Now, if you read up on capsicum, it actually where your mucus comes from is your lungs. And when you take capsicum either through hot sauce or through capsicum pills, it melts the mucus in your lungs, which you obviously blow out your nose or, nice. you spit out, as gross as it sounds. But capsicum, or the mucus lining in your lungs, between your lungs and the mucus lining, that's where bronchitis, pneumonia, and COVID-19 sit. And if you burn your lungs and the mucus out of your lungs, those diseases cannot sit there. I had, a couple years ago, I had bronchitis for 4.5 months. I started taking teaspoons of hot sauce, and I was over it in 5 days. It was
nice.
Now, it hurt. Trust me. It hurt. Yeah. It hurt bad.
It really works.
Yeah, but it was worth it. 20 seconds here before we go back to the show here. Want to say a big thank you to Bigfoot Rob, Chad, and Kyle for the super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show. If you're new here, do us a favor. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and no, that is not official medical terminology. It worked for me, may not work for you. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, make sure you check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Lauren Pritchard. She is a spiritual warfare guru. She'll drop the gloves with anything bad, evil, or acting a little obtuse just because it wants to give her a little arrogance and attitude. And Lauren, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
All right.
What's the introduction?
What's that?
Love the introduction.
Well, that's how I do things. I am a professional by trade. A professional, you know. So
great.
Thank you. Thank you. Face for radio too. So anyways, moving on now that we've come to the fact that I am a professional, let's talk about spiritual warfare. All right. This is something that you made a really odd comment that I thought, but kind of a cool comment about how you like the dark stuff. You like it. The darker, the better.
Yeah, I like understanding it, working with it, mitigating it. I like warring against it. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, before the break, we were talking about how I was, wondering if maybe I was bipolar, but it turned out I had opened up a portal, and because I didn't have any wisdom, I just had this big giant portal open because I ended up working with a medium. She told me what happened. So, and that, because I had no faith, I'm sure I had protection, but I didn't have any faith. So because I had no faith, it just let in like whatever wanted to come in. And she said it was no different than if we went into a spiritual realm, she said it was no different than if a ghost was walking around in our reality, not knowing where it is. And you would be like, what the heck, what is that? So, and that's exactly the vibe that I got. It was like this big giant portal was open and all of these entities were like, what is that thing over there? And they were like peeking in, and some of them would attack, and some of them would sniff, some of them would like touch, some, it's like exactly what I was experiencing. Nothing too bad, but I did get a feel for, I was like, I don't think this devil thing is all that bad. I felt like this empathy with the dark. Not that it's sad, but that it was honorable in a way, yeah.
Honorable how? Like here you are taking on powers that you don't know, and yet you're going at them much like a hockey goon would go after someone who just beat up their star.
No, because you don't do force against force. Because force against force just creates like more problems. I learned that later. But I was just in exploration mode. I was depressed, so I was in a low vibration. So I was depressed, and it was like comforting. It wasn't anything that made me do any bad behavior, bad activity, or anything like that. It was just this comfortable place of darkness. I think some people enjoy it there.
What attracted you to that?
Well, it was actually by accident because I went to San Antonio and I had experienced this haunting, and this is what I found out later on because, I was getting to the good part in the story. So I didn't do anything about, right? Because I don't really know what's going on. I'm thinking my apartment's haunted. I'm thinking my parents' house is haunted, but I'm like, no, I'm haunted. Like something's like I'm haunted. But I didn't do anything about it for some reason because it was like fine. It was like whatever, it was no big deal. It kind of was. I just didn't really know what to do, and I didn't really feel like I needed to do anything. I thought I was just depressed, and it was just getting deeper. And I was actually attacked in the shower. I was taking a shower one day. This is like maybe 10 days into this experience. This was like 10 days of like a dark pre-awakening, and all these like lower level dimension, or, I'm not sure exactly, it's a very vast universe out there. It's a very like non-active, whatever realm I was in, it was very non-active. And then some little demonic things would come in and attack, and then I didn't know what to do, just sit in fear, I guess, until I was attacked in the shower one day. I was taking a shower. I laugh now because it is kind of funny. And, it's the shower I always shower in. It's handheld. You pick it up, you put it down, and I didn't touch it. I leaned down to like shave my legs, so like my head's down, and the shower head jumps off the spigot and like lands on my back. And I was like, that's weird. And I'm thinking maybe I touched the hose and I didn't realize it, so I put it back and I just make sure it's like sturdy and it's good and it's not going to move. And, I'm not going to touch the hose again. So, I continue on shaving my legs, and it immediately, as soon as I take my eyes off this thing, it flies off the handle and hits me in the back again. And so this is when I realize, this is messed up. And I have to do something about this because I'm now being attacked, and that's not, there's something inside of me that was like, it's game on. It's game on with whatever this thing was. And so I, get out of the shower. I leave the house with wet hair. I'm on my way into town, Saratoga Springs, New York. Awesome place for like beautiful pagan worship, a lot of like Midsummer Night's Dream, kind of like fairies, a lot of elvish people in Saratoga Springs. So I go into this store called Magic Moon, and I knew the owner. It's a small town, Saratoga Springs, small horse racing town, affluent, but, kind of hippie too. It's a nice place. It's where I lived and worked, near where I grew up. And luckily coincidentally, I was able to get right in with the best medium in town, this woman, Teresa. And it was such a blessing because I was freaking out. I was like, this is like something, I have to do something about this now because it's actually, coming after me now. It's coming after me. It's attacking me in the shower. It's screwing up my day. And I sat down. She is so legit. She goes, there's a cat on your lap. And this is what I think made the depressions work so bad is I had lost a pet, my beloved little wee man, orange boy tabby cat, the light of my life, my shadow, the funniest cat. Everyone loved him. Suddenly dies. He got a blood clot in his spine. It's pretty common. He had a heart murmur. They couldn't hear it. And it threw a blood clot into his spine. And so I came home one day, he was paralyzed from the waist down. And they said this is unfortunately common and they have to be put down. The surgery is very low chances of them coming out of it. It's very expensive. So it was really, really sad after everything that was already going on. Then my cat suddenly died. So, and you know how spiritual animals are in our life. They play these roles. And I think he left at a certain time on divine timing to catalyze some events here. And she saw a wee man right away. She's like, there's a cat here. There's an orange, boy cat. And she saw my grandfather. That was cool. So Teresa was legit. So she had my attention, and I told her what happened and told her the story about the haunting in San Antonio. It's like my life just has been so weird ever since. And she's the one that told me that, well, what happened is when you experience paranormal phenomenon, but you don't have any faith, you don't have any protection, you know, you don't call in Jesus Christ, you don't call in Archangel Michael, or if you don't believe in that stuff, she's like, then you just kind of, you're open to it all. And in order to close down this portal that I had opened, I had to say Psalm 91 out loud every night before I went to bed. I got some black obsidian. I got some selenite. These are crystals. And I wore black obsidian around my neck to protect myself from negative. And I got selenite to bring in the heavenly, and read Psalm 91 every night before bed. And it went right away. Portal closed down. Life goes back to normal. Everything's great. And then I moved to Texas soon after that. And then I had the light awakening. But I feel like there was a point I was getting to in telling the story, but I forgot.
That's all right. I just enjoyed it.
Radio. It happens.
Hey, it does happen, and that's quite okay. But for you, when you decided that, you know, you wanted to take this on and have this a part of your life, you know, where did you find your strength from? Because when you're battling anything that's of a darker nature, usually that has ways of overpowering mortal humans.
Yeah. Where do I find my strength from? I feel like it has something, I think it has something to do with me as a soul spirit. Because, and I think it has a lot to do with, I don't know if you guys talk about super soldiers in here, but super soldier James Casbolt has been a part of this journey, and you know is now it's you know, really hitting the surface. So you know, he had a lot to do with it too. The super soldier phenomenon, you know, these battle angels, these earthly protectors. You know, there really is an army out there that protects humanity, and we really do have foot soldiers down here that, you know, work for the forces of light. And they say that, you know, there's a lot of foot soldiers for the forces of dark, and that we may battle at some point soon. But yeah, I think the protection kind of comes from having something to do with, well, it's what I'm here to do. I went to 10 conferences, UFO spiritual conferences. I spoke at a bunch of them, handful, or maybe 4 of them. And yeah, I just kind of, I got a lot of a big network. But what's interesting is it's kind of, I feel like everyone's kind of found their own separate journeys now, and it's cool now because everyone's kind of coming back together. Things are kind of coming full circle. But yeah, I found a lot of community in the conferences, and, you know, the New Age movement, the ufology, spirituality, Gaia TV. So it was fun. I mean, it was fun and social, and yeah.
When you decide that you wanted to focus on a lot of cleansing the negative energy away from people and from, you know, the planet, how did you build a team? Was it just you at first, or did you build a team, or you know, did you put on a cape? Let me know.
Yeah. Well, I think because there was no earthly like building a team, because there's this like phenomenon where people like try to be God, and you know, but it's a very creative place, so people can do whatever they want, and I'm not here to judge you for that. But I think that the New Age conferences kind of gave us this like idea that we needed to build this thing on our own. You know, I had people offering me a lot of money, a lot of like, you know, Sony offered me a show on Netflix going into haunted houses. And I was like, no, because that has nothing to do with AI. And I was getting info about AI and the dangers in navigating that. But yeah, it was kind of, I went through the motions of just, I don't know, just exploring this whole realm and like thinking I have this huge network, to then finding out like a lot of people in there, they just have different agendas. some would be what some others consider evil, but, these are two groups that are just seeking to survive. So what is good and what is evil? I mean, that's a quote from James Casbolt. He has a lot of material on YouTube, by the way. You can check him out. He's the super soldier thing is a big topic, but I can only really vouch for James Casbolt. So check him out. That's my partner I work with very closely here. And, all this stuff is coming out now. Project Mannequin and, the missing kids and all this stuff. The monsters, talk about these monsters. We got to get into that too. But I noticed if I used his name, some people would go like radio silent. And I'm like, that's weird. Like these people like really kind of feared his name. So I was like, maybe this is not the group for me because I can't talk about, my closest confidant. Like people just didn't, I don't know, it was weird. They went like radio silent. It's like they had something against them or I don't know. I do know. But yeah, the team was always there and now we're organized and calm, cool, and collected. And that's, we're doing a lot of work now. Foot soldiers on the ground. I mean, just this past weekend, I found a ritual murder site. Like, that's crazy. But, like, we here now. I mean, this is 2021. We here now. This is, like, really hit the surface.
How do you keep focused with all the information? Because I know when I opened up, there was a lot of it was tough to be able to keep focus because there was a lot of things and different happenings in different genres that were really happening all at once, and I didn't know how to separate them. How did you do that?
You mean keep focus like on topic?
Yeah.
Whatever I'm doing, I feel like it's whatever is presenting itself in my real life. So I felt like the journey was a lot about what was against me. I had to learn. Like I had to learn that. So, whatever was trying to push AI, when I was trying to help people not go like, wait a second, we need to navigate this thing first before we start talking about AI. So I had to learn about why people were pushing it and who these people are. I had to learn like why people didn't like James Casbolt and who those people were. You just learn about whatever is against you, really. I mean, this so-called evil, what some people consider evil, is your greatest teacher. And that's how we don't fall into being victims. And also, focus is really quite simple. Eat well, like treat your body well, sleep well, drink lots of water. Some people, I noticed that some people have hard times, and I say, number one, you got to wake up, wash your hair, brush your teeth, eat well, drink well, sleep well. It's so simple. It's start there. And, baby steps, you get into that. So I'm a spirit advisor, so I'm starting to get into like advice for the audience now. But, abundance flows through feeling good, and abundance is, what replaces money. Abundance is, similar to love energy. I mean, if you're not really into the love energy, everyone needs abundance. Everybody wants abundance. And abundance flows from feeling good all the time. Not like feeling good like sex, drugs, rock and roll. Feeling good, just feeling harmony, feeling good in your body. So
hold on a second here. What's wrong with sex, drugs, and rock and roll?
Nothing. It's do your bliss. If that's your bliss, then this is a pretty cool place for everybody to kind of do what they want.
I'm just teasing on that one.
I know.
Just teasing on that one. Lauren,
I'm not a prude, but I've never been much into the debauchery. But I think y'all are. I'm glad that other people are enjoying themselves. I like to see people enjoying themselves, regardless. I don't judge.
Absolutely. We have about 4.5 minutes before we have to go to break here at the top of the hour. Lauren Pritchard is our guest tonight. You had mentioned you come across an ancient murder site. What was that all about?
It was so crazy. This past weekend, I was at Elk Lake Lodge in the Adirondacks with my family, And I was sitting at the fire. It was like an hour before we were about to leave. And this is an indoor lodge. I'm sitting at the fire just by myself. I start to doze off and I hear a voice say, go to this private property and walk around. So I never don't listen. Like, I always follow this guidance. And so I go out, I walk to the private property, and I'm thinking I'm just going there to kind of reclaim the land, because nobody owns land. It's this illusion. It's this, like, silly thing. You have the right to protect your land, but you don't own land. Nobody owns land. Private property is a mere suggestion. In Texas, by the way, you can trespass anywhere one time and get away with it. Totally fine. But anyway, so I go up to I go out to the lodge, private property, no trespassing, please, right? So it's like a sweet little sign, and it's a mere suggestion. And I mean no disrespect, right? But I was guided to go do this thing. So I just walk on up, and I just think I'm going there to say a prayer. We reclaim this land in the name of Jesus Christ as the, children of God, the owners of this planet, and reclaiming the planet for a good cycle of time, at least. And so I am thinking I'm just going there to do this. I'm just doing a little white magic. But I look to my left, and there is a huge boulder, like the top flattened off, and like what looked like dried blood running down it. And so I take a little specimen of it. It seems like dried blood. And then I go around, I start walking even more, and there's 3 giant boulders, 5 foot tall, huge, with so much blood layered on top of it. And this is just my experience. This is just my story. And this is just what I think happened. I think it is a ritual murder site. And I think that these people are engaged in sacrifice to these monsters. So maybe we can get into that after.
I'm always in for monsters. We
Yeah.
can totally get into monsters, but we have about just over 90 seconds to go here. When you came across this place, has it been noticed before, or were you the first to notice it?
I think that there's something happening right now where the satanic elite want people to see it. I get the feeling that, at a certain level, good and evil are the same. Like, God and Satan are like the same. And I think they're kind of on the same team at a certain level. And so, I think it's just like I kind of was like baited to go and see this thing so that I could break down this structure in the Adirondacks, this like land and money ownership. It's the Ernst family, Margot Ernst, John Ernst, big Satanists in the Adirondack Mountains. And I think that they need people to see this and put it out there because they need permission to do certain things.
Way above my pay scale.
Well, so speaking of monsters, they need our consent for these monsters to hit the surface.
So what you're saying is, if I get this right going into the next hour, all right, that the monsters that are out there are created by demonic forces looking to scare people, and that is their purpose here.
Well, I believe that the monsters they're here for some reason, and they sacrifice. There's a lot of reasons for ritual child murder. It's sad, and I don't mean to sound desensitized, but I would lose my mind in despair if I stayed in despair about it. We need to be solution oriented. So, excuse me if I don't seem like I'm sensitive to it. It is a sensitive subject. They do this for many reasons, and one of the reasons is to keep these like sleeping giants asleep. Like, it's metaphoric for. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that when we get back from the break. Because we also got to know if you called the cops on that site, because we got to know that too. We got a great guest tonight, full of energy. She brushes and flosses twice a day. Lauren Pritchard is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Monster Talk with Lauren coming up to kick off hour number 2 of the mighty SOR. All right, I am clear. I'm going to quickly run my dogs out. If you want, I'll leave you up here so that way you can. A lot of our guests like to chat with the audience in the chat room. I don't know if you got that pulled up or not.
Yeah, I'm going to take a quick break myself, actually.
All right, we'll be right back then.
Okay. Is Daniel Schofield in here in the chat? Because I got a question for you. Do you think she'll say something about astrology? Yo, I got way bigger fish to fry than that. Not that astrology isn't badass, because it is. You know, the legacy of Jupiter, that Jupiter is like Christ's return. That's our dude.
I'm back.
Well, hell, I almost welcomed you back to your own chat.
Oh, you can if you want.
Welcome back.
Yeah. Works for me. Thank you. I appreciate the warm welcome.
You don't have photos of that rock. I have of these rocks. I got photos of them. If I could share my screen.
You can.
And I even have the blood sample right here.
Very cool.
Speaking of, what's it look like? Yeah, there you go. It's pretty cool in the camera as it is.
All right, we'll save questions. Nikki, we'll save your question for when we get back on the air. We've got about just over 1 minute.
Okay.
Having fun yet?
I mean, I'm having so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Share screen. I can share the screen. Cancel.
You're welcome, Lawrence. Lynn did a great job on Saturday night. And she'll do it again this Saturday night. All right, big thank you to Brett Lewis, Bigfoot Rob, Kyle, and Chad for the awesome super chats. We really do appreciate the love and support of everybody on this show. And remember, if you're new here, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. We are live here at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, 7 days a week on our YouTube channel. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune us on in. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to say hello to everyone tuning on in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, charismatically. Charismatically is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as a clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with our spiritual guru, Lauren Pritchard. Thank you so much, Lauren, for being with us. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That word guru has kind of like a weird connotation for some people.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like the word guru, so I'm going to use it. It's just that simple.
I just want to know, I don't consider myself a guru.
I went there. Okay, right before the break, we were talking about this weird place where you picked up an ancient murder ground. All right, and you got a little bit of evidence. Did you go to the police with it?
Well, it was a modern murder ground. It just happened. Ritual sacrifice just happened. No, I didn't go to the police with it because these people are above the law. And so are we, though, so it works out. My folks wanted to get the blood sample tested, but for some reason they kind of dropped it. But here it is, it's the blood.
How do you know it's human and not animal?
Well, that is, I guess up for people's discernment. This is, my folks, they don't know what the hell to think. Excuse my language. They don't know what to think, so they're like, oh, it's animal. It's a lot of blood. I mean, I'm not here to convince anyone of anything. So I would check out my YouTube for the detailed story about this whole thing. I mean, it's a pretty amazing story. But to be fair, catering to the wide variety of perspectives and realities that people are harnessing, could be animal blood, and I have a very there's very specific work that I do, and just I don't think it's I don't think it's animal blood. I think it's ritual child murder, sacrifice. to keep sleeping giants sleeping, to keep the monsters at bay, to feed the demonics that keep the gates separating, us from the people that we love. But yeah, I wanted to point out, someone said that it's why I love my YouTube channel. It's like my team of helpers and prayer warriors and stuff. If you put hydrogen peroxide on it, blood bubbles up, but it doesn't bubble up. So I don't know, but it's here, and I'll keep it.
All right.
I have photos of it too. If you guys want to see the photos, because I think you have to see, like, I wish people would just go there and see for themselves, but this is like a 5-foot tall rock covered, and it's very, very eerie looking. I mean, you can remote view. Actually, people can use remote viewing technology. Kiera, you would know, there's a lot of peeps that can remote view. Have them remote view this to see what really happened here.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's the largest one, but there was 4 of them.
Very, very strange. While you're looking there, I got a question from Nikki in the chat room, and she is asking, do you astral travel or bilocate?
Yes.
What's that like for you?
I don't, it's rare, but I have done it. See, I don't know what invites me to do it, but it's always to connect. That's how I connect with my partner, James Casbolt. It's through a variety of ways, but if we are on another planet, then I'll astral travel there. But I don't really have a reason to go to these places. So I guess the times I've astral traveled, it was sort of confusing for me. And, but a lot of it is, it's here. Like, it's astral travel, but it's here. Almost like time traveling here. I think I am conscious, and I'm here in my apartment conscious, but in another dimension.
All right. Typical Watch is asking, can you see energy?
No, I feel it. I can generally feel what is under the human suit. Kind of like how you smell something, you walk into a room and you smell something really good. That's like, I have a sixth sense for energy, and it's just sense for energy. Almost like if you're near somebody that smells really bad, you're like, ugh, it stinks. It's kind of like that with energy. Like, oh, I don't like that energy. That's like a gray or a bug or, satanic pedophile.
All right, moving on here. Vinny wants to know, are you into astrology? If so, what is your sign?
I'm really into astrology. I think it's very important because we are connected to astrology through the planets are gods, and it's God and his consort, Jupiter and his consort. And I'm a Virgo.
I've never really bought into the whole astrology thing.
Yeah, I think it's for very earthy spirits, because Earth is, pulled by these planetary bodies, and yeah, it's I think it's specific to the earthbound, like the descendants of the kids. Like Jupiter was a god, Zeus, he had a ton of kids. Venus and Mars had a ton of kids. Venus and Mercury had a ton of kids. So there's a lot of kids from these gods that are still walking around today. And, they're not the only people that are here. And I think that it resonates very physically with the descendants of these people. And then, people can use it out of interest and what's kind of happening. But it's really what's happening with the earthbound spirits, the kids of these gods.
All right, Nikki is asking, 2 of us in chat see and feel dragons around you as protection. Do you have experience with other beings, whether that's Sasquatch, ETs, or any others?
I don't know how to, I don't have any, I've never seen Sasquatch. I like them all. I mean, well, it's a question of, I can see it there. Okay, two of us to chat. Experience other beings, but Sasquatch, ETs. I had a ton of ET experiences. But, it was weird because the ET experiences happened when I was going to all the New Age conferences. And while I do think they're real and I don't discredit them, I don't really have, there's ETs walking around all over the place. So, I feel the extraterrestrial component in human beings. So I'm and I'm in Austin, Texas also. There's a lot of mixed bag of humanoids and humans here. So, yeah, that through human embodiment, ETs all over the place.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk some monsters here, because I know you want to get into monsters. When you talk monsters, it may be a little bit different from what the majority of us think monsters are. So for you, what are monsters?
I think that there are creatures. Gosh, there's chimera. There's a lot of different things. There's chimeras that I don't know if you want to call them satanically, whatever these. It's I don't know what people want to identify them as. Kind of the people that are controlling stuff with the Matrix, and we're sick of it. Those people. Some of them have a hobby of creating chimeras, human, animal, all kinds of scientific, splicing and mixing and all that stuff. So there's monsters there, monsters they are monsters themselves, monsters you hear a lot about these werewolves, these bipedal wolf beings, monsters, there must be something underground. There are things underground that are being fed, and if they don't, I think they want to stop feeding because I think they want to allow them to harvest. I believe in a spider type creature. I believe in the bipedal wolf beings. I do believe in Sasquatch. I think there's such a mixed bag of, monster type creatures out there. And I think we're about to see them a lot more. I think sometimes when people catch images of these things, I think it's if a team goes in and busts up an underground base to relieve whatever bad situation was going on there, there's chances that these creatures, these chimeras, can escape. And so I think when people get weird photos of things like this, I think it's they escaped an underground bust. They just ran away. And so I think that we're really going to start seeing more of these things on the surface, because I think that's kind of what they want, that's what they kind of want to see happen soon. But don't be in a fear about it, because I think maybe fear they'll be drawn to you by your fear. So, people kind of have to have a little bit of faith or have a plan. I know a lot of people plan on leaving, taking off with a ship, taking off with a tribe that they came from, they're going back to. And I think if people want to stick around, they kind of have to connect to Michael and Mary, Jesus Christ, because these are the spirits that are the earthbound, the original humans in the human form, connected to Earth. Gaia is their mother. So that is going to get rid of the fear. And I think that these things are going to be drawn to fear. Even people are acting really sci-fi. Human people are getting monstrous. They're losing their humanity. There's all these trials that people are going through. Even this weekend, with this whole scenario about me going into the private property and finding, all this blood on these stones, this ritual site, what looks like a ritual site. And, it's kind of like a trial. It's like a judgment day of sorts. Like for people, it's like how they react to it, how they respond to these things. How are you going to respond to these things when the money is threatened, or you look up to these people and you find out that they are nurturing monsters of some sort, feeding demonics of some sort?
Do you believe that these evil forces are creating these monsters?
Yeah, some of them. Yeah, because I think that's like part of their bliss. They love it. Because if you look in ancient, some people believe that's the reason why Atlantis went down, was God was like, all right, like you're cut off, because they were doing too much chimera action. Like they were mixing up animals and stuff too much, that God was like, bring it down, baby. Like, you gotta stop. It's too much. And I don't think these people ever went anywhere. I think that this is still their bliss, and they will do what they can get away with, and they enjoy it. So-called evil, it's their bliss to do what they do. So yeah, I do.
Okay, so a lot of people have had interaction with these monsters. Not a lot of people have been attacked. You don't hear a lot of people being attacked by Sasquatch or gargoyles or gnomes or dogman.
Yeah, I think they have to have permission. There's spiritual permission. Because humans have a level of protection on them. And so at a certain level, God and Satan are kind of on the same team, this dualistic experience that humanity has to walk to learn and grow and develop. I think that's why we have a lot of ET people that have come here to learn, develop, and grow, and they might want to go back to their home planet. So when this Earth school comes to a close, comes to a culmination, it's the times and trials for the whole world, as expressed in Book of Revelation, times and trials for the whole world. And these are people too. These are high military. They say Michael Aquino is high military intelligence for the satanic side. And, they're indoctrinated under these beliefs that they have to do the ritual sacrifice to keep the sleeping giants asleep so that they don't come out and attack people on the surface. And, and then Michael, James Michael will be at the same table there, and they'll have a meeting about how to move forward.
Where's your proof on this?
Oh, these are just my stories. This is just my experience.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no harm in believing everything. While I don't believe everything, there is no harm in believing people's stories. And I think that's really important for people to hear. There's no harm in believing people's stories. This is just my experience.
Well, but I'm going to challenge you a little bit on this, if you don't mind.
No, not at all.
Because there is harm if there are false accusations being made of people, if they're Satanists or if they're harming children or something. Pizzagate. I don't really like going down this road or anything like that, because we don't talk about these topics on the show, but Pizzagate was a complete falsehood. There was no basement in the pizza hall. There was no children there seen by other people. So you got to be real careful with the names you throw around.
No, I don't have to. But evil always precedes what good is about to do. So it's part of the psychological operation to create something like Pizzagate, put it out there into the media so that when these things actually go down, all the people that don't want to believe it, they kind of want to stay protected under their reality. And they have the right to do that. Nobody should be infringing on their free will, although that's kind of coming to a...
But where does truth come into play? You can ruin somebody over that.
Yeah, but look at where we're at this point in history. What are y'all holding on to anyway? Are you holding on to the money? Are you holding on to the power? because, I mean, God is out to destroy the world, to get people out of the way from harm, because, speaking about what I'm saying here is, and this is actually in a book, so you're like, where's your proof and stuff? This is in a book by James Caswell. So this is part of, this is in this end of the world scenario. I mean, some people, like at least some of the people that kind of, there's always a group of people that are like trying to be God, right? Like they try to mimic God, they try to be God, and they would want to create an end of the world scenario. So if evil mimics what good is about to do, the whole shutdown, the worldwide pandemic, I mean, this is evil mimicking what good is about to do. So it's like about to be repeated, but on, a light side. It's not like a shutdown. It's like a jubilee. It's not like a closing of all this business. It's like abundance flowing freely. So people at a certain point, they deserve to have their protection removed if they don't do anything about their situation. And, truth and the only real truth that exists are people's stories. The only real proof that exists are people's stories.
I understand that. But for every story, there is three sides to the truth. There is your side, my side, and the truth down the middle.
I mean, well, it's just the reality you subscribe to.
That's not a reality. That's the truth in journalism.
Well, there's a split in reality happening right now, right? Some people are going this way and some people are going that way. Some people are going to, stick around. They're going to get out of the way. And then some people are going to, probably leave. Some people are going to get snatched up by Grays and whatever, Draco, I don't know. They're going to get snatched up. I mean, this is a scenario that is being created. So, when we're all pussyfooting, like we got to be careful. No, you don't. I mean, the people are out there doing amazing work right now. I mean, there's amazing things happening. This is boots on the ground. I mean, this thing is really hitting the surface. It's just picked up so much momentum that, there's nothing that can really stop it at this point. So.
No, and I understand your perspective. And I'm not trying to be a jerk here. I'm just trying.
Okay. No, you're good.
My job is to ask some tough questions sometimes. So that's all I'm doing here. As we got about 90 seconds before we have to go to break here at the top of the hour. But I mean, we can agree to disagree on a lot of this stuff. We really can. I mean, you did say aliens, so I mean, you got to have some good in you. I'm teasing, by the way, when I say that. But I mean, the reality is, we don't know what is going on. We can have a perception of what's going on, but there are so many strings being tugged right now, from what's going on in the UFO world to the paranormal world to any type of conspiracy theory that is out there. It's just, you have to be, one thing that I've learned from being in this chair is you have to be very ripe with facts and ripe with information to send, to drop the sword or to drop the hammer on someone.
Yeah, Dave, I know what's going on.
Do you?
Yeah. I'm here to know what's going on.
So for you, in knowing what's going on, how do you know you're not being fed false information?
That's a good question. The true indication of, like living in truth, or, whatever, I don't think it's right. At least it's not my bag of chips to over intellectualize. This is such like a logical world. Everyone's so logical. To over intellectualize these things, it's not really my bag of chips. But the proof is in the fruit of people's labor.
All right, so, hold on right there. I apologize. You can hammer me when we get back. All right, Lauren Pritchard is our guest tonight. We're in a good debate here, good friendly show, good conversation, and I know the chat room is lighting up over it. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
You're an awesome host.
I've done it. I've done it before. I've done it before. Let's see.
That's why you can do 2.5 hour shows. You're a professional.
I am a professional. Yes. Oh my gosh. But before we go any further, hold on 1 second here. I have to do a couple of things here. You know, people, I got a beard growing on, and one of my sponsors is MightyMooseBeardOil.com. Okay, go to MightyMooseBeard.com. Gary the Dutchman. Okay, you never get a deal from a Dutchman, but Gary the Dutchman is going to give you a deal. If you use promo code SOR 2019, he's going to give you a deal on your Mighty Moose beard oil. Yes, he will. And if you're paying in American money, remember, you're only paying Canadian prices. That's the key to all this. Let me show you how it works here. You know, I'm using my favorite, the Winter Blend. You give it a little squeeze like so. You put that down. You squeeze it on into your hand like that. And then it's real simple. You just rub it in your hands and massage it in. Massage it in. That's it, man. That's all you do. Rub it in your hair. Oh, no, this is the True North, not the Winter Blend. And for the ladies out there, you can use this in your hair. It is all natural. All right? It's going to help with split ends. You know, so make sure your hair stays good and doesn't split at the bottom, because that sucks. I never knew about that until I grew my hair out. So go to MightyMooseBeard.com. Gary the Dutchman is waiting for you right now. All you got to do is say to him point blank, hey, Gary the Dutchman, give me that SOR 2019 code, and I need a deal. And that's what he's going to do. So MightyMooseBeard.com. Check it on out. All right, I'm done. All right, big question for you. This is all serious here, so you know you can't screw around with the answer here.
Okie doke.
All right.
All right.
What's your opinion of eating breakfast foods for dinner?
Breakfast is my favorite meal to go out to eat for. So I wish there were more breakfast restaurants that are open later.
So you have no problem eating breakfast foods for dinner?
No problem. I don't do it very often, but no problem at all. Why are you stickler about breakfast for dinner?
They're breakfast foods for a reason. For a reason.
I love it because you set it up like you're expecting someone to like join you in this thing, and then you're like, no.
It's terrible. Terrible. You know, all you weird people out there. Anyways, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you will notice that there is a guitar missing here and a guitar missing here. All right, I'm getting them tuned up. And my son and I started our guitar lessons tonight. And you know what? I'm ashamed to say this. Tonight I learned, my one lesson that I learned was how to tune a guitar. I learned how to tune one. Now, it's not just, twisting the knobs or anything. You got to make sure you got enough. And I didn't realize how bad a shape my guitars were in. Like, their bodies are in great shape, but the strings were in terrible shape. So I had to get that done. And, we got that done. So I'm all good with that. And, so that's why the guitars are missing. They're in the body shop right now, getting all done up. And yes, Vin, I don't know how to change strings on a guitar. I'm not ashamed to say that. I don't know. Never done it before. So I'm learning. I never had the opportunity to take guitar lessons before. So go easy on me. Go easy on me. All right. We have about 1 minute. 1 minute. And I just spit up water all over myself. Didn't mean to do that.
Better than milk.
I don't like milk.
Yeah, me neither.
Not a milk fan. Never have been.
Neither.
Big thank you to Bigfoot Rob, Chad, Kyle, Brett Lewis, and Andrew for the amazing super chats tonight. Really appreciate the love and support. Don't forget also, hit that subscribe button. Ring that bell if you're new here as we continue to move our numbers up. Here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for choosing the time to share with us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight talking monsters, aliens, all things dark, dirty, these beady little secrets that need to come out into the open. And doing that is the lovely and talented Lauren Pritchard tonight. Lauren, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm having so much fun with you guys.
Absolutely. We're having fun with you too. Now, right before the break, you were tearing me a new butt, because we were having a disagreement on certain protocols and everything. So let's have at it. Let's drop the gloves once again. Here we go.
Right.
Here we go. What are you yelling at me for? What are you tearing me apart?
All right. Did I yell?
No. I just added that for context and emotion.
Well, I mean, I appreciate the challenge because you're really just asking what everyone else is going to be thinking. You're just saying what everyone's thinking. So,
okay. All right. Let's get into this. All right. Because there is a lot of darkness on this planet. And, we could agree with a lot of things that are going on. We could disagree on it. And normally I don't try to get very highly political on this show. So I'm going to try and slide it to the left a little bit. Exit it, stage left. But the monster topic about whether or not we are projecting this on ourselves, that interests me. That interests me a lot because, I've seen quite a few monsters. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, it is a very, very scary happening when it does happen to you. Whether it's alien abduction, whether it's seeing aliens at your window, whether it's seeing Sasquatch, or just things you can't explain. How do we know if it's a good monster that's maybe of Mother Earth or a bad monster which is coming from the dark side?
Well, I feel like it's one of those things that's error on the side of caution. It's just like with the topic of artificial intelligence. When this hit the new age, it hit the scene running, people were trying to incorporate AI. I was like, we don't have any business talking about positive AI until we have negative AI sorted out. So this might be unpopular opinion for your channel, but in my perspective, I'm like, until we deal with all the negative monsters, negative aliens, we shouldn't be talking about positive ones yet. And I feel like the positive ones are somewhere else that are like, yeah, because, it's just one of those things, until it's error on the side of caution.
So tell me about your experience with aliens.
So I have had really positive experiences. But what's interesting is it was like this slew of contact. I feel like I went through the motions of a lot of people during this whole awakening, ascension, new age process. And they rope you into the UFO phenomenon right away, and they show you all these aliens, and then your consciousness connects to all these aliens, and you have all these supernatural experiences with them, and you feel like they're, connected to you, and maybe they are, but you feel like this is it. These are my peeps, and this is it. Well, once I started to get because I learned a lot of the people that were organizing these new age spiritual events were very negative in vibration. Like they had agendas. This was, a lot of derailing of sorts, or, if evil precedes what good's about to do. It was sort of like their way of preceding what was going to happen. So maybe all the negative alien activity precedes the positive alien activity that's about to happen. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Just in regards to telling the difference between good aliens, or not good aliens, but good monsters that Mother Earth has put on this planet comparatively to those from the dark side.
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember now why I was saying that. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the things were really AI. I think they were really AI in consciousness. So I think there are positive aliens, but I don't think the ones that we've encountered are positive. And I would err on the side of caution. And I feel like a lot of them are AI, and AI is in our phones. It's in our computers. It's all over the place now. So it doesn't mean that there is not a place, and it doesn't mean that they're lesser or anything, but I think that we have different, as species, we have different roles in society as, galactic society in the future. I mean, we already are a very galactic society. It's just people don't know it. But yeah, I mean, I think we have to err on the side of caution at first. And all the good ETs know that, so they shouldn't be offended by it. Some people get really offended when I say all aliens are demons. Do I really think all aliens are demons? No. But until we get rid of the ones that are negative, we should say all aliens are demons. Just like until we get rid of all the negative AI, we should say all AI is negative, just for protective measures. And that's just my way of helping people out. I mean, ultimately, people choose their own direction they go in, and that I don't judge them. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. So I understand erring on the side of caution, but I mean, if aliens do arrive, because we are in a real disclosure type movement right now, whether we want to believe it or not, I mean, there's a lot to fear about with that. And I've tried to balance both sides, from the positive to the negative. And I really don't believe people are ready for any type of alien encounter. Now, there are those who are in the field who will sit there and say, oh, we're ready. Humankind is ready. I just don't believe they are. Where do you stand on that?
So that kind of ties in what we were talking about earlier about, these people that sit around this round table and they plan these events, and they have to make tough decisions, just like with, the ritual feedings to, these entities, or to the opening of the floodgates. I mean, if this was a quote from James Casbolt, they were talking about a scenario where, an alien event, an alien type, although I don't think it's an invasion, I actually think it's them leaving, because I think that these negative aliens, they're all here. They're already here. They're all over the place. They're selling you beer in Austin, Texas. I mean, they're like inviting you to their lodge in the Adirondacks. Like they're all here. So it's not an invasion. It's like them leaving, and they want to snatch up a harvest on the way out. So, yeah.
So do you think people who have had positive extraterrestrial experiences are having the wool pulled over their eyes?
No, not necessarily. I think that a lot of the population are spliced with grays, and I think that they might want to go and do something else. They might want to go to another planet. Because you see how some people like really resonate with the grays. They might, if a ship comes, they might happily get on it. It might not be such a negative experience for them. But I do think that there are negative grays, and I do think that they are really trying to rope people in to snatch them up for food or whatever. And I think that is super sinister. But if people don't do something about their situation, then at a certain point they deserve this isn't my quote, this is coming from James Caswell. If people don't do something about their situation, they sort of deserve to have their protection removed, because, we can't sit around and twiddle our thumbs forever. So, it's kind of one of those things that people aren't ready. It's we've just been through a massive transitional worldwide event. In that event, did you find humanity or did you lose humanity? Are you taking away free will from people? Are you taking liberties? Do you want to take liberties from people for your own desire, your own consciousness? People have lost their humanity, and those are the ones I think that are going to get snatched up. You don't do anything about your situation, you deserve to have your protection removed in the eyes of the people who would ultimately allow. But they will push them out, and then on the way out, they're going to snatch up a harvest. That's what I think is going to happen.
Okay. So for people who have had the positive experience, whether it's, enlightenment downloads, whether it's showing something of the future, of the past, whatever it may be, do you think they are showing just screen visions of what they may be wanting people to see rather than what people are experiencing?
No, I think there is some of that, but I do think a lot of people are, they're like volunteers and they're here to assist the process. And the difference is in the fruits that people bear. So I think, if people don't take really good care of themselves, but they think that they're getting all this good experience from these aliens, but they're not taking care of themselves, just basics, then that might be an indication that they're being, wool pulled over their eyes, like you said. But I do think that there are a lot of good assistance from positive races.
Okay, but if there's positive races out there, which I agree with you, that there are positive races out there.
There definitely are, but I'm like, let's not talk about them yet, or I don't know, I guess it's a niche thing. It's not up to me. Y'all are doing great work.
I agree. But, I mean, for a lot of the spiritualist movement, they're going to have issues with thinking that maybe the aliens are bad, or we're focusing on protective measures before we really know, or if people's personal experiences go against that.
Well, is it up to them, though? I mean, is it their consciousness that's bringing it in? Maybe not. I think the consciousness that's bringing it in is really pushing for it to happen, soon, really soon. Because we can't do this. We can't keep doing this. It's like, you see how people are being really pushed into the cities right now. Like, the way society has been engineered is they've pushed all these really AI, serve money, not God, into the city centers. And I'm not saying if you're in the city center, then you are in some sort of danger, because, if you are out of fear and you feel divine protection, you feel protection from, whatever you feel protected by, and you don't go into fear, you're good. It's like they won't even see you. If there was an alien body snatching event, they won't even see you, because their vision would be like the fear, going towards those that are in fear, which is messed up, because that's sad, But you see how society's engineered. People are moving out of the city because they're like, I can't do this. I'm getting sick. They're getting the sicky boo-boos. It's coming from all the technology, all the Wi-Fi in the city. It's an epigenetic environmental impact. It's making people sick. and they're moving out. I mean, I can't work in the city anymore because I start to get sick. A work day, I get allergies. I get sick. I can't keep doing this forever. So it is sort of like we're being kind of pushed away, spiritually, being separated physically. And I think that they're going to target the cities. The negative ETs will target the cities, the city centers.
Well, this is why I'm glad I live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I honestly, that's the reason why I love living in the middle of nowhere, because I kind of get what you're saying about that. Cities are bad energy. I mean,
Yeah.
I can tell you, like in my community where I live, and I'm not trying to brag, because I'll tell you the one thing that's upsetting a lot of people in our community here is that the flood of lower mainlanders who are all of a sudden moving up here, and then they want to bring their rules into your town. And it's like, I was watching on Facebook where this lady, like, if you go driving in my area, there's about 1,100 people that live in my area. We don't have street lights. Everything is dark. You take your vehicle into your own hands when you drive down the road, because a deer or a moose or a bear could jump out at any time. And so all of a sudden you get these lower mainlanders coming up, and they're like, how come there's no lights? We need a petition to get lights put up on the streets. We don't want lights. You know why? We like looking at the stars.
Yeah.
But on the benefit of my community, and this is one of the reasons, like when I moved up here, people still say hello. People still wave at you. They wait for you. They're not in the hurry. They wait for you to cross the crosswalk before driving through. They pay for if you're going for a coffee, the person in front of you will actually pay for your order. Like there's still quite a sense of humanity that is out there that has been lost in these big cities. And I don't believe it has anything to do with race or color or creed or whatever. It's just basic human skills of letting people be who they want to be so their heart can shine. And we don't have enough of that in the big city. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah. And again, it's like, if evil precedes what good is about to do, why are they focusing on all the racial LGBTQ girl, boy, man, woman divide? Because it's about to all come together. Yeah, it doesn't matter what color you are. And
I agree. I fully agree with you. I really couldn't care less. All I care about really, as I've aged more, and trust me, I'm like a fine wine. I've aged delicately and beautifully. You're really
like
am.
200 years old. You're like, I'm actually 200 years old.
I will be 48 in a couple of weeks. I will be 48. And yes, I do have a minimum, people, of what you can spend on me. A minimum. No, I'm teasing. All right. But the point that I'm getting at is we have to be, I don't care how people, who they are, what they're all about, how they dress, who they want to be. I don't care. How have you treated me today?
Yeah.
And if you want, I want you to treat me well. I'll treat you well. And we can't seem to get back to that because spiritually speaking, we're so divided and wanting to conquer with our opinion that I don't even know if we can even get back to any type of rational thought anymore, whether it's cancel culture or whether it's anything.
Yeah. Well, what if we had bigger problems? I think the blessing, there's a lot of blessings that come out of this, but one of the blessings about that whole event, coming upon that ritual murder site with all that blood and those rocks and these people, the blessing is like, this is a new trial for humanity. So when I go out into the world and I tell people my story, the way people react to me, that is a whole new trial for humanity. I mean, we're focusing on like petty stuff. Like, how about we get some better problems? And it's happening. Like, humanity, you have better problems. You have a big problem here. And it's just hit the surface. It's coming out like wildfire. So This is like one of the things I'm really excited about, bringing this information. Like I go to New York, I have this experience, and like coming back to Austin, I feel this breath of fresh energy for many reasons. But one of them is like, I have this new story. I have this new experience to tell people, and how they react to me says a lot about their humanity, says a lot about where they're at consciously, because it's like there's a lot of different trials. I mean, the whole last year is just a big trial to see where people are at. I mean, God and Satan are really weighing out souls right now. They're really watching to see where people stand. And it's hard to know where people stand until, the cost of gas is out the roof, or, if you have something and someone else could use it, if you share resources, if you laugh or ostracize at people for their personal stories, their personal experiences. I mean, they've got some new trials, humanity, and I am pumped for what's coming.
And I don't blame you. We have 3.5 minutes before we got to go to break. At the top of the hour, we have Lauren Pritchard here tonight on Spaced Out Radio. So how do we start to flush that bad energy out? How do we do it?
It's all got to come to the surface, I think. How do we flush out that bad energy? People have to allow the truth. 100% the truth. The whole truth, the truth. The only real truth are people's stories. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like biblical, right? Like we live in this big lie, and the new design, it's all about the truth and protecting the truth and just letting it flow. People can discern lies. At least like when I tell my stories, like people know I'm not lying. They know I'm not making it up. It's my story. So it's like on them if they want to believe it or not. You can tell now if someone is lying. Everyone has like a built-in lie detector. You can tell now. It's pretty hard to lie nowadays. I don't know if any of you guys noticed that, but I think that's people's BS meter has gotten a lot stronger.
True, but they've also become more introverted.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are shutting off their emotions. This was a big theme that came up, this weekend. It's like people are shutting off their emotions, but I think going forward, your emotions is like in a level of intelligence. You got to keep your emotions. You got to keep feeling feelings. Because, that's where all these senses come from. The lie detector, the humanity, it's emotion-based. Getting out of fear, it's by feeling good. Abundance flows through feeling good. So you don't want to go too introvert. Well, but you should spend time alone, absolutely. That is 100% yes, correct. Spend time alone, a lot of time alone. But don't turn off your emotions.
What about spending time in nature and, letting nature cleanse you?
Yeah, you can learn so much in nature. I mean, it's just like a giant story. Nature is God. Truth, love, and nature, that's a trinity. So if you're not like really into love, at least like you can get more nature, you can get more truth, you can uncover some more love. Or if you want more truth, then you can find more love and find more nature. You want more nature, want to be more natural, follow the truth and try to follow love. It's a trinity of sorts.
I love Rafaela's comment. She's commenting all the way from the Czech Republic. And she says, in some ways, lies are becoming harder to detect, in her opinion.
I think Rafaela, I think you have a good point on like the media scale. The psychological operations. I mean, it had everyone like focusing on China for so long. I don't know. I haven't been there. I haven't seen it. I'm pretty sure that Japan is a threat. I'm pretty sure Persia is a threat. Iran.
Well, hold that thought. We're going to go to break here. at the top of the hour. We have another half an hour left with Lauren Pritchard. Then at the bottom of the hour, we're going to get into, well, we might get some Magic 8 Ball in. We may not. Something's picking my mind right now we got to get to. We'll be back. All right, I'm just going to run my dogs out. It's you in the audience. We got 6 minutes.
All right.
Don't say anything that'll get me flagged by YouTube.
All right. You guys are on fire in the chat room. I think we should talk about Lucifer and the descendants of Cain. Japan is a member of Five Eyes. Oh, what's up, Thomas? Sounds like bifurcation has to do with the difference between believing so-called information, reporting sources versus one's own observable reality. Yes. You know, the thing with the sicky boo-boos, it's like when people were beginning to resist wearing the face coverings, and they would ask, why? And I was like, well, my observable reality tells me that this is not spreadable like a germ. And I have the right to my observable reality. That's the thing about liberty. I got the right to assert my wisdom and my will based on my own observable reality. And when people want to infringe on that right, that's their humanity is being tested there. Oh, yeah, Joe, it's Lauren. Oh, wait, it's just my thing. Lauren Pritchard, Spirit Advisor. Elon Musk, evil or good? So I think Elon Musk is a noble troll. I think he pretty much, I don't know if I want to say lie. There's so many holes in Elon Musk's dialogue, but it's like on purpose. I feel like Elon Musk is like, he's like a booster chair. And he is also, he feels like Pluto to me. He feels like the energy, like the god Pluto, because Pluto is death and rebirth. Because he's like, AI is the most dangerous thing. I agree. You know, we're kind of we're getting past that. Maybe we are past that point now. We got bigger fish but we learned what AI was, right? So he's like, AI is the most dangerous thing. And then he's like, here, stick some AI in your head. And now he's like, he had said cryptocurrency is going to be primarily used for illegal transactions. And then he's like, here, have some cryptocurrency. So it's almost like he's trying to lure in people for a soul recycle of some kind, like a detriment of some kind. And I wonder where he stands on the issue of human trafficking, because he has a SpaceX base in Brownsville, which is the border of Texas and Mexico. No, it's near the border of Texas and Mexico. There's a ton of trafficking, human trafficking there. It's really bad. I've visited there. I've been there. I've felt it. I've seen it. And I think that SpaceX is kind of like cheesy. I feel like it's like NASA plus, and it's sort of like this soft disclosure. He also talks about building tunnels in Austin, which they obviously already exist. Oh my God, for a second I didn't think you had a shirt on, and I was like, oh, we're doing that now?
Well, hey, teach their own, right?
But you like walked in and your shirt like kind of the same color of your skin. And I was like, "Ooh, Dave!"
Well, that's how I roll around here. That's how I roll. I mean,
Shirt off on the show. That would be a personal victory.
It would be fine dining at the Scott residence.
But then I would also kind of feel like, I don't know, like almost like one of those like dirty old men, but like the reverse, Like, oh, I made him take his shirt off. That was naughty of me.
Weird. Odd. Let's see. So, okay.
I'm not into the debauchery, so just a joke about
That's
pervert.
all right. I've already got hell for wearing an orange shirt tonight. I like this shirt. It's a jackalope shirt.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. All right, we have about 45 seconds. I want to say a big thank you to Andrew, to Brett Lewis, to Bigfoot Rob, Chad, and Kyle for the amazing super chats tonight. And, thank you, Desert Clam. Welcome to the Paranormal Nude Hour, only on Spaced Out Radio. I appreciate that, buddy. And big thanks to everybody new who hit that subscribe button and has helped us out that way as well. We're going to get going here in about 5 seconds. When we get to the break at the bottom of the hour, just stick through and I'll say goodnight to you properly.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We say hello to everyone tuning in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Charismatically. Charismatically is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce Lauren Pritchard. We've had a really cool show tonight, a little bit different than what we normally do on this show, but hey, that's what we do around here, and we appreciate Lauren coming on in. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
It really has. It really has. I mean, it's kind of pushed us a little bit all around the edges of this beautiful planet we call Earth. And I want to kind of ask you in regards to the spiritual aspect that people are going through these days, because a lot of people are being pulled in different directions. And we don't know what to think. We're forgetting how to think on our own. We want people to think for us. Where does the free thinking come back? How do we get that back?
That's an excellent question. So I think that we have to stop thinking in terms of dollars and cents. It's really hard to think when you're always thinking in terms of dollars and cents and like owing money. And I think it's evident that the monetary system is like blowing up and shutting down and like rearranging, and all kinds of crazy things are happening. And it can be kind of scary. But ultimately, I do think that humanity is going to need a huge break in the money imprisonment, because people need to be able to think clearly to navigate this next situation, which will then pertain, and we're living it, the shift right now. So let go a lot of fear in terms of money. I talk a lot about that on my channel. And also, this might sound maybe out there for you guys, but it's really simple. Within our body, within our soul, you have a masculine energy and a feminine energy. And so it's about having both feminine energy and masculine energy, like having intuition, but then also having the masculine protection. Like, that's why I can come out and say this stuff. And if people like say all kinds of, because people say really nasty things to me all the time, but if I didn't have any masculine protection within me, I would crumble under, that pressure. So it's about finding your own inner feminine, which is nurturing. And, it's like nurture yourself, like take good care of yourself. And then the masculine is very protective, like protect yourself, like don't be too reckless. These are connected to the creator. If the creator is masculine and feminine, the divine is masculine and feminine, your connection to that is through your own masculine and feminine energy. And sometimes our parents get in the way because we don't like our mom, we don't like our dad. And if we can find understanding for our parental connections, then we can discover greater divinity in the connection to a better feeling, spiritual energy that helps you think. I don't think you can think without going into the divine going forward. You kind of have to reach into the divine in order to think, because this world was too logical. It was too... it was too wordy, words, word salad. Language is really difficult, but energy is easy. And it really comes through that masculine and feminine in harmony, with God. And I do spirit advising. If anybody wanted to work on that, I do a lot to find any of these blockages, because so it's really hard to find our own blockages, especially like at least at where we're at right now in history. Most people have like one big blockage and they kind of know what it is, but they might not know. And it really just takes like a shift in perspective. It just takes like a little like understanding of different, maybe like you need to learn something about that soul, about that spirit in order to change your mind, so that you can free yourself from your own mental imprisonment. A lot of people have just poor connections with their mother and their father, but sometimes, or just something really tragic that happened. But it's not until you look at it from a spiritual perspective to understand like why it happened, why people are the way they were. Are they really this? Are they really that? Can we loosen judgment? Can we just let go? Then they feel more free, and then they feel more confident in navigating this current world.
Our reliance on technology, from cell phones to we're getting into automated cars now. I mean, we are really moving into what I believe George Orwell's book of 1984, which is, in my opinion, very scary. It's toxic. I think it's not good for what we are trying to accomplish on this planet. Okay? Like, it's taken away, the machine has taken away the free thinking that we normally have around here. And I gotta ask you, in regards to our addiction to technology, whether it's computers, whether it's podcasting, whether it's our cell phones, or everybody rushing out to get a Tesla car because they all want to know if it's cool to fall asleep in the driver's seat and test out the automatic driving. Are we forgetting how to live, how to enjoy life, where maybe 10 years ago we were all pushing to get out of our houses, get into the mountains, go camping, go see the world?
Yeah. No, I think it's just about perspective, because, I think the Tesla cars are really nice, and I think that you can enjoy one and still, just have the perception of like, this is a material, it's connected to the world, kind of want to loosen our grip on this world. So it's more about the perspective. Same thing with, like I was talking about with the people in the city. You can be in the city so long as your perspective, like if somebody like you and I, we probably wouldn't like the city, but we could live in the city because our perspective is not going to change based on where we are. But yeah, the addiction to the cell phones, the technology, it is this roping people in. When I have a loved one or a client or somebody who's just, it just like keeps hitting a wall. I'm like, and I go in and I'm like, why does this person keep looping? Why are they stuck? Why are they why is their personality getting sci-fi almost? Sometimes people's personalities people are getting kind of sci-fi acting, with their personalities with the technology. And it's generally always because of, if it's not, drugs or despair or fear, fear is what gets you into the phone, because people can escape the fear for a moment if they're in the phone or the computer. But it's a computer. It's get away from the screens. People have, because the truth is not in here. God is not in here. It's in and also God doesn't operate through. I think there is like a positive aspect that can rearrange things on the computer for sure. But abundance flows in the physical world. So people need to be out in the physical world. They need to be of the world, not like the material world, but like the spiritual world. As we're all spirits here and now, but we're also all connected at a higher level. So, if you go to the grocery store, you and all those people are hanging out in a higher place also. If they're there, sometimes they're down here and you probably won't really see them or notice them, but we don't judge. It's all good. But yeah, learning to navigate this world, it's going to come from being out in the world. Now, you don't have to be super social. You don't have to be extroverted, but I observe reality from the world. I collect data from the world. And, that's the thing about an AI personality versus a divine personality, is an AI personality collects data and computes it in a way that is like so harnessed in the 3D. That's why people are really through the deception of the event that is going on now worldwide with the sicky boo-boos, as I call them. People are just collecting data from the three-dimensional world. They're just collecting data from the news, the computer, the phone. And then, a more divine personality, which we're not saying one's better than the other or whatever, it's just different. And you kind of want to get there, because I think that people that are collecting data, I think they're growing into fear and they're going to become violent at some point. But the divine personality is collecting data from like a wider observable reality, a more holistic reality. And, those people are going to be like big time survivors in this. Got to get out of the screens. But you can be in the screens as long as you have the perspective, as long as you have the perception. Your perception's like solid.
Can we get away from technology at this point? Because, you talk a lot about AI. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. AI, artificial intelligence, scares the daylights out of me. It does. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, I think there are some good benefits to it. I would love to see us be able to use AI for, say, people who have a history of migraines, or people who have been paralyzed, to help them walk again. I'm not interested in robot dogs that are acting as police dogs trying to track people down, or, intelligence robots that are standing on street corners recording everybody's, height, weight, temperature, and scanning their driver's licenses as they walk by. I'm not interested in things like that, but that seems to be the way we are going.
I think a lot of that is this predictive programming that you hear about, where the people that want the 1984 scenario, They want people to manifest this for themselves. And I think there is a possibility where people can really manifest this for themselves if they just stay in the city. If they, go into all the fear and they just, and by the way, you can be in a city and completely be a survivor and be like big time survivor, because it's not about location, it's perception, but like the perception of, these fear scenarios, but it's like, because people fear it, but they don't do anything about their situation. They will create this reality for themselves. The negative AI is deployed to recycle people, and it's sick and sad, but we can't be all in despair about it. We're animals in nature. This is a big nature preserve. It's a big nature. It's like the opposite of a nature preserve. It's like a nature free for all, AI and all that. But people really they'll probably create these scenarios for themselves. But I do believe it is true that God wants to destroy the cities to put these people out of their misery before that happens. When I say God, I mean a collective of people that are the highest military that exists off planet. I think they would like to put people out of their misery. There's a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different ways, a lot of different directions we can go in, but have faith in knowing you choose your path. Sometimes I have, $1,000 in my bank account. Sometimes I have like $30 in my bank account. I don't care. I'm not creating this reality for myself where I'm stuck in a situation when that situation is so obviously being funneled into a 1984 scenario. It's like I visit for my own health. I can't even be in these toxic situations. Even spiritually, I'm way too sensitive to energy. I can't, and I also am a warrior for the truth. I can't be around. I'm always going to tell the truth, and that's always going to get in 1984 scenarios. It's always going to get my butt fired. Which it has already, and that was actually perfect because free speech is not illegal, but Satanists are they control a lot, and they can coerce people into firing you and threaten to shut down entire business if they don't. But again, like that's like nature running its course. Just let nature run its course. Don't feel like a prisoner. You got to find the sovereignty. But it's interesting because before the show you put up that song and I looked at the lyrics and these people were like, we're above, is it like we're gonna like escape salvation? Like they're like, let's not do salvation, let's find another way.
That's the way we go. It's all in rock and roll. All in rock and roll.
It's a very creative melting pot, and I think the truth is nobody really knows. Nobody knows the day or the hour. But, God says he's going to come like a thief in the night. And I really believe he's going to come like a thief in the night to destroy, to allow the aliens to take their harvest, to burn stuff down. I know I have I don't have a lot of like prophetic visions, but I have the reoccurring dream of skyscrapers being leveled and grays running around, snatching people up or, wanting to have diplomacy with me, like shake my hand, be my friend. But the ones that are running around, it's like as if they don't see me because they can't see my frequency. It's like I'm invisible to them. These are the, but he said he's going to come like a thief in the night. So now is the time to escape your mental prison from money and find the abundant flow. And really, you got the breath in your lungs. You're warm. You got a comfortable pair of shoes on and a backpack. You're good. This earthly, this material world is being dismantled, and it's on purpose. So, mentally, I'm prepared to just when that moment comes, put on a backpack, a pair of shoes, and just hit the streets. because, I can't stay in this scenario where I'm just working to pay rent and everything has changed, yet my rent is the same. And, just by coincidence, I have not been able to pay rent since September. It's like all these things, this path that I have walked about this whole monetary reset, I walked it out of necessity, not because I was like, oh, I'm mad and I don't like money and I don't like this and I don't like that. It's just been all by design. Like out of necessity, I've walked certain paths and done a lot of, seemingly risky things with money, only to find out how, this whole thing is changing. And I have never felt like I needed something and didn't have it. So I think money's the big one. I mean, the money god is a big demon. It's, the beast, the matrix, the whore that rides the back of the beast.
I would agree, but I mean, there's also, as we only got about 3.5 minutes left before we got to let you go, there's also escapism. People have to take control and escape from the realities of television, from the realities of their cell phone. Find how to have fun without technology again.
Yeah, exactly. It's really sucking people's souls. I really do. I feel like people are losing emotions. I feel like AI is hyper intelligent. It's reading frequencies. It's scanning fear, and it wants to feed more fear. So you really do. You got to escape the screens, and just with the scenario where I found this what looked like a satanic ritual site on this place my parents really love to go, and then I told them about it, and the way they reacted was sort of like sci-fi to me. And I think it's because they just work and spend time in front of screens. And it's weird because you might not have realized like how people have changed because they haven't been tested with any trials, any real life trials. And then when they're presented, they act a certain way. But it's like, when you think about it, a lot of people, maybe most people, are only working and only spending time in front of screens. So I think breaking down the matrix and causing a bit of a blackout or causing a money digital wipeout, wake up broke, woke up broke is like a thing people are talking about. They're saying buy gold, and I think gold is probably good. I have some silver. I think preparing for these scenarios is healthy, and it is the guidance that we're getting right now. It's getting to the point where you can't not, because you can't just work and sit in front of a screen.
Very true. We only got 90 seconds left. Do me a favor. Tell everybody where they can find your work, your website, your YouTube channel.
Yeah, my website is newearthconsulting.squarespace.com. I do spirit advising Tuesday through Thursday. You can find links to book on there, links to donate. Thank you so much. And I basically vlog my entire existence, and I give a lot of spirit advising and energy updates based on what's going on in the moment on my YouTube channel, Lauren Pritchard Spirit Advisor. So please subscribe and hit the notification for lives. I do a lot of live streaming.
Very cool. You know what? This has been a very challenging, and I mean that in a good way, not a weak way, but a very good way show. And I love your strength. I love your opinion, and you're not afraid to go at it. And I think you need to be commended for that.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And you're just so good at what you do. I think this is maybe this is my favorite show so far.
It should be. It should be, because some of us do this shirtless, And
I like the audience.
Well, yeah, the audience is pretty cool too. They very much are very, very cool.
Yeah.
But I want to say a big thank you on behalf of us at Spaced Out Radio for you taking the time to hang on out and be with us. So appreciate you, Lauren Pritchard, and I'm going to get you to hold on here because we're about to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We have 30 minutes left on the mighty SOR. I'm debating, is it Magic 8 Ball time, or am I going to go off on a rant because something's just irking me about the UFO field right now, and I want to get it off my chest with the shirt on. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio right after this. Good job, kid.
Thank you.
We'll give you a few claps.
David, sir.
I'm always up for clapping. You did fantastic. Thank you. Hi, Aussie Rob. How's tomorrow looking? How's your ham hocks? We need an update. Mustang Guy Chris, 1969. Welcome to our channel. Appreciate it. Thank you. I thought you did very well. I thought you did very well, and I appreciate you doing this for us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
As long as you had fun, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want a bigger outreach because your audience is like tuned in and they're different, like from my flow that I've had the same kind of flow for a while.
Well, just there are a couple of people who are driving on a couple of flat tires. I'm thinking Fap, Rye Guy, and Vinster. But outside of them, we got a pretty good chat room. Those guys are just weirdos.
Oh, are they trolling?
No, they're here every night. I absolutely love them.
Oh,
I do. I absolutely love them. They make me laugh every show, and it is so hard for me. Oh, that's good ham hock there, Aussie Rob. High quality ham hock there. They make me laugh every show, and I try really hard to keep a straight face, and sometimes I can't. But for the most of the part, I usually can. Because I am a professional.
someone made me laugh out loud when they were like, "You made Dave." What was it? I made you silent or something.
Yeah, you shut me up there for a little bit. That was Marie. Marie in California.
Yeah, that one made me laugh out loud. Because I just my first time meeting you, so that was really funny.
Oh yeah. I'm usually a big mouth. I'm usually a big mouth. Well, my friend, I got to go get ready here. But okay. I want to say a big thank you once again. Keep up your great work, and we'll do this again, I promise.
Sounds great. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Dave.
All right, take care.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I like her. I do. Good lady. Good lady. Smart lady. I need some rant music. I don't rant often. Maybe I will rant tonight. I feel like ranting. I do. Probably what I'm going to do. Yeah, this shirt does not look good off the copper walls. Oh, thanks, Showtime. Yeah, I'll do it. I will do it. All right, Fapster, I apologize. I overprotected. Maybe you answered this. I did not see the answer earlier. You wanted to share a story with me, and I don't know where. Did you get my email? I'm watching the chat room right now. No. I'm going to get this one fixed here soon. I got to get my other 3 guitars fixed right now. 2 of them are being restrung, and my son had, okay, I'll put in my email right here for you. So take a look. There you go. My email is in there 3 times, or once. And I got to get my son's guitar. He was having troubles with the first fret, and so I have to, his guitar instructor is going to fix that. Excuse me. Fix that for him. So that's where we are. Thank you to Vinster, Andrew, Brett, Bigfoot, Rob, Kyle, and Chad for the super chats. Here we go with the, this thing. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and, of course, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. You know what? I decided I want to go on a little bit of a rant here. I don't do it often on this show. I really don't. All right, normally we get to the news or maybe the Magic 8 Ball, but I'm going to take a break from the Magic 8 Ball. We'll probably get into some news here in a little bit. But I really have to rant about this because I don't know how to feel about it. Now, for a lot of you out there who follow the UFO world, we are used to these people popping in and out and in and out, you know, especially the celebrity type who come on in. And look, as the UFO topic gets a little bit more advanced, as we get closer to that June 25th date where the 180 days is going to be up, where the Pentagon has to release its UFO files or what they will share from us, we're seeing a lot more people come out of the woodwork. We're all of a sudden seeing on hashtag UFO Twitter, you know, everybody from MC Hammer to athletes, you know, I think of the Cleveland Cleveland Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield coming out talking about UFOs that him and his wife saw recently. Demi Lovato joining Stephen Greer for CE5 contact. But when you go to a CE5 contact, if Demi's there, you're not allowed to talk to her. No, only Stephen Greer is. Speaking of Demi Lovato, the former Disney actor is now very woo-filled with UFOs and aliens. So much so that Peacock TV in the United States is giving her a UFO show called Unidentified. Yes, Demi Lovato is now the face of ufology on TV. I will say this is where I am conflicted. I am very conflicted because of a couple of reasons. Number one, I think it's fantastic. We'll start off on the positive here. I think it's fantastic anytime we get younger people in on this race towards UFOs. I think it's great that somebody of her stature who on Twitter alone has, I believe she has around 55.2 million followers on Twitter. They have a lot of pull. She's probably got the same on Instagram, too. I haven't checked. But this is where I get a little upset. And maybe I'm just an old school guy getting cranky because my birthday is coming around. And Lord knows I hate my birthday because I hate aging. But does ufology really need a Demi Lovato hosting a television show? Now, I haven't seen it yet. I don't know what quality is going to be. I'm sure there's going to be stories about Roswell and the Nimitz encounter and Kecksburg and the Marfa Lights and everything that we have heard from every other television show out there. I strongly believe that. And look, I hope she does well. I really, really hope she does well. Okay? But the one thing I don't like about this field is that everybody thinks they could just walk in and become an expert. We're seeing a lot of it right now with all of these new UFO podcasts that are jumping out. Right? I watched one the other day where this gentleman who has been in the field of ufology for 5 months telling everybody they need to subscribe to him and watch him because he knows what's going on. I've been doing this almost 6 years, actually over 6 years now, going on 7 in the fall. I don't know what the hell is going on, and I got a pretty good grasp and talk to the right people on trying to figure out what's going on. But I get it with Demi Lovato. All right? She transcends many communities. She transcends the younger community who has interest in this field. She transcends many different communities from entertainment to sexuality. Okay? She's gorgeous, fantastic hair. Even when she cuts it, she has fantastic hair. She has a voice that people listen to. And trust me, we need that in this field. We need more celebrity-type people jumping on the bandwagon saying, hey, tell us about those UAPs, Pentagon. Tell us about those UAPs, Mr. President. Or in our case up here in Canada, Mr. Prime Minister. Tell us. We want to know. I think it's great. I was excited when Tom DeLonge came out until I saw the group. I think the more famous people talk about this, famous people, whether you like it or not, they have an aura of spreading the word because they have thousands, if not millions, of followers. And when somebody like Demi Lovato talks about this subject, it is good because that means that there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people who are going to get the message. But I don't like the fact that all of a sudden she's a pretty face who's into UFOs and, hey, I can go into any studio and any television area and get a UFO show. This subject is bigger than just entertainment. It's bigger than the editing. It's bigger than the ratings. It's bigger than anything. Okay? It really is. And I think from a television and a marketing point of view, I think a show like this may be disastrous. It reminds me of not finding Bigfoot. Oh, there's Bobo. Somebody farted in the background of the cameras, and all of a sudden, oh, that's a squatch. It's a squatch. Oh, it's a squatch. And I can see the same thing happening here. She has no experience, no history, probably doesn't know who Richard Dolan or Grant Cameron or Linda Moulton Howe or Stanton Friedman is, or Jim Mars. All right? Probably doesn't know. Hasn't done the homework. Now, I don't know this. I'm assuming this. And I realize assuming makes an ass out of you and of me. And I'm not saying this out of jealousy, because Lord knows I don't have her good looks. That's why I have a face for radio. And a voice for print, according to some. But what we need is somebody like her to come along and grab somebody, maybe not Stephen Greer, but grab somebody of knowledge to take her by the hand to show her everything that needs to be done. Now, there's a lot of people out there who will say, okay, didn't Stephen Greer do that? When Stephen Greer is charging $1,500 to $3,000 for an event to get some CE5 experience, what's it about? Is he the right person? I don't know. Maybe he is. But there's a lot of deserving people in this field, but they may not have the looks. They may not have that television swagger. They may not have the right age category. And that is something that Demi Lovato fits. She really does. She fits it. She fits the mood. She fits the look. She fits the interest of being a younger, mid-20s person who is into UFOs and ET contact. That's what it's all about. You know, it amazes me, changing topics for a second here. And we will have Lou Elizondo back on May 26th. But I watch Lou Elizondo. This is a guy who you see him everywhere in the media, from Fox News, where there's millions of viewers, to newspaper articles in major newspapers with millions of readers, to doing a podcast with 40 people. Demi Lovato is not going to come on Spaced Out Radio. I would highly doubt it. I'll try. Corns, the booking guy, will try. But I doubt it. She's not going to go on Coast to Coast AM. She's not going to go on Jimmy Church. She's not going to go on Dave Schrader. She's going to eat it up, much like Rob Lowe did. Remember when Rob Lowe had that monster show where him and his sons were going out? That's what it is. It's about entertainment for people who don't know what they're trying to do. So I'm going to make a name for myself in UFOs. I'm not saying these people owe it to our community, but you know what? There's a lot of people, including people in our chat rooms and people who listen to us every single night, who want to know what's going on. This isn't a game for them. This isn't a game for them. This is reality. This is life. Being abducted by aliens is not fun. All right? Living in a haunted house with poltergeist activity is not fun. Having the daylights in your life shown right in front of you after being scared the forest by a Sasquatch or a dogman is not fun. And people are living it every single day. Now, I don't know how serious she takes this topic. I'm hoping she does. I believe she does. But how is she going to move the ball forward, closer to the end zone? The only way she could do that is that television show better be pretty damn good. Now, with my luck here in Canada, we're not going to get it, because we don't get any of the good stuff up here from your cable channels down south. So I'm going to have to rely on you, the audience. But I can say this. I don't know if we need a Demi Lovato to have a UFO show where she's going to get to the stories of the UFOs. There are a lot smarter people in this field who deserve an opportunity. A real opportunity. And they're not getting it. People who have done so much work in this field, whether they're scientists, whether they're researchers, all right, who've done so much work in this field for free, paid their own ways to conferences, paid for their own self-published books to get written, only to sell 100 copies, if they're lucky. And a multimillionaire can walk into Peacock Television in the U.S. and say, hey, I want to do a UFO show, which probably her agent brought up. How does that advance the field? The only thing it does, once again, is it gets the message to the younger crowd, which I believe is part of some sort of narrative that is out there right now. I do believe it is a narrative. Because the old dinosaurs, the UFO boomers out there, they still think that everything's, screwy. The newer generation, the young guns, the young ladies who are involved in this, they are lapping it up. And if you look at it, who is Luis Elizondo catering to? Who's Chris Mellon catering to? If you look at any of their stuff, everything is hashtag UFO Twitter. Who's using Twitter? All of the newer generation of UFO researchers. Melinda Leslie's not on Twitter. Grant Cameron's barely on Twitter. Richard Dolan doesn't use Twitter. He has someone who uses his profile. All the heavyweights who've been heavyweights in the UFO field are being left in the dust. And when you have people who are not willing to ask a lot of hard questions, who are following everything that comes out, and they are bringing out a lot of good news. I think of Danny Silva from the Silver Record, brings out a lot of good news on this subject. Love him or hate him, Jeremy Corbell does. All right? That's your new wave. That they don't give a care, they're getting the message out. But Demi Lovato? I don't want to crap on the girl. I really don't. But do we need this for ufology? I like Zenzabil's comments in our chat room right now. He wants the Paris Hilton UFO show. But that's what it comes to. All right? If you want, all of a sudden, if you look around ufology, there's all of these new faces that have popped up over the last 6-8 months. And they have shot right up the totem pole with zero work. I have an interest in UFOs. I'm going to follow this group. Boom, gone. Got a podcast and make it happen. And to Stetson John in our chat room, buddy, you're very involved on UFO Twitter. You know exactly what I'm talking about, and that I'm exactly right. Right? We need more scientists. We need more knowledge. We need more people to come out and talk about this. That's the only way this story gets out. But how does it come out? We won't know how it comes out until June 28th. Now, a show like Demi's, okay, it may last a season. This isn't a long-term thing. This is somebody taking advantage of it for a season, maybe 2, and then it'll be pushed off the air because they'll realize that it is probably really bad television. I hope not. I hope not. But I would really love to see one of these television networks gather some of the most brilliant minds together, from researchers to historians to scientists, to really put this story on the map. Because here's the thing. Come June 28th, we're either going to pass or we're going to fail. There's not going to be any A+ marks of information coming out. We are lucky if we get a B. Maybe a C+ or C. Most likely a C. But for the rest of them, I don't know if adding somebody like Demi Lovato, who is not going to give a care about this field outside of one person she's hanging out with, the one person she knows in this field? I don't know. She's not going to open up to you, the audience. She'll do her magazine spreads. That's what they want. She'll do her television appearances. That's what they want. But coming on radio shows to discuss this, coming on, podcasts, talking about what she has learned, you'll never see her. It's much like Jack Osborne, Ozzy Osbourne's son. You rarely ever see him do a podcast, yet there he is getting his show, all because Ozzy is his dad. This isn't jealousy. This is just pointing out a lot of fact. This is pointing out a lot of fact. If we want to move the ball forward, we need people to start not acting like they know everything. We need people to start promoting those who have done the work. Doesn't matter if you've been in the field a year, 2 years, okay? Like Tim McMillan, he's only been around for 2 years. Tim McMillan from the Debrief. Look at what he has accomplished. He's busted his butt off and broken some major, major stories. Great work. People need to follow him. But there are others out there that are just a pretty face or a pretty mustache or have 55 million subscribers and followers on Twitter that are getting the breaks. Meaning well is one thing, but when you're talking to the public like you are an authority, that's a complete other one. And that's where we're making a mistake. Anyways, I have ranted enough tonight on that. I'll let you guys be the judge on whether or not Demi Lovato's UFO show is good or not. We won't get it up here in Canada, but I hope you tell me all about it. You could do that on Twitter or on Facebook or Instagram. Really do appreciate that. At Spaced Out Radio Show on Instagram, at Spaced Out Radio on Twitter, or our Facebook group, Spaced Out Radio. You could join that. We'd appreciate it. Or on MeWe. Somewhere on there I'm on MeWe. But a big thank you to everybody for letting me rant about this, because it was bugging me. It was. We'll get to the news wire. We'll try the Magic 8 Ball another night. And Captain Shirk's Newswire is always perfect as well. Thank you to Lauren Pritchard as well. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone tonight in our chat rooms on Twitch, YouTube, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Facebook, Spreaker, and of course Derek and the Starkettes on Twitter, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Happy birthday, Overprotected 1111. Good night.
Minute Maid slushies are back at McDonald's. And if you want to thank me for that info with the slushie, that's cool. It's more than a drink. It's a McDonald's drink.
Treat yourself to a refreshing Minute Maid slushie, a pink lemonade, or strawberry watermelon. Goes great with a fresh beef quarter pounder with cheese or the new crispy chicken sandwich. At participating McDonald's for a limited time. Fresh beef available at most restaurants in contiguous U.S. Not available in Alaska, Hawaii, and U.S. territories.
Minute Maid slushies are back at McDonald's. And if you want to thank me for that info with the slushie, that's cool. It's more than a drink. It's a McDonald's drink.
Treat yourself to a refreshing Minute Maid slushie, a pink lemonade, or strawberry watermelon. Goes great with a fresh beef quarter pounder with cheese or the new crispy chicken sandwich. At participating McDonald's for a limited time. Fresh beef available at most restaurants in contiguous U.S. Not available in Alaska, Hawaii, and U.S. territories.